Good day. I'm Meg Robertson, the Director of the Orientation and Mobility Department at the Commission for the Blind. Welcome to our presentation on Mobility Ready for College. What's O&M got to do with it? This presentation is geared towards high school students, their families, certified orientation and mobility specialists, COMS, teachers of the visually impaired, TVIs, vocational staff, and others. Although I'm presenting, this is a group effort from the MCB Orientation and Mobility Department specialists, Cynthia Guys, Cindy Curran, Grace Cummings, and Mike Dion. Also with input from the Carroll Center Community O&M Department staff, the COMS that work in school settings, and members of the Association of Massachusetts Educators of Students with Visual Impairments. To begin, the first slide, the title picture is a college student getting ready for her first, loading up a car for her trip to her freshman year of college. A lot of people question what's O&M got to do with college. I get this question a lot, especially from a student who seems to be traveling fine in a school setting. College is stressful enough without having to work on basic O&M skills. Students are not prepared often for real-world O&M or using advocacy skills. Also in college, there are no teachers of the visually impaired, TVIs, no parents, no paraprofessionals, and no SPED team to assist them in their college curriculum. A lot of people, the students are getting around fine in the school building. There's a picture here, a graphic of a bunch of kids traveling around, just hanging out together. This is what happens in college, in high school a lot. So a lot of times the students may be following other students and not using their skills. They may be faking and being able to travel in familiar environments, being a good guesser. They may be very familiar with the environment they're traveling in versus unfamiliar environments. And all college campuses will be unfamiliar. Inside travel is very different from traveling outdoors. Is the student using reliable methods of navigation and orientation in the school or around the community? One thing that we want each student to be prepared for is the next environment they're going into. So if a student isn't in a city or town that does not have public transit, they should go to another town that does and practice on that transit system. As in most cases, they will be using transit in a college setting or work environment. Education competency is not the only skill a student will need to succeed in college. There's a photograph here of students working together on a problem. They have pencils and pens, and there is a computer in the background. You need social skills, travel skills, and advocacy skills. Some of the skills that you have from your school curriculum are reading, writing, and arithmetic. So think about what you'll be using in the future that you've used in school or learned in school each day. One of the things you're going to be learning or using every day is reading. Whatever technology that you use, you will be reading a lot of items in a college setting. You'll be writing reports, applications, and just general writing for college. You will still have to use math, but not probably calculus, unless you're in a science program. Typing. You will be using typing for the rest of your life. O&M is a lifetime skill. Unlike some of the things that you learn in school, O&M is if you're moving, you are using O&M skills. So with that, you have to know what your long cane training is for those people who use a cane. You have to work on complex street crossings, which will impact you every day. Your pedestrian skills, use of public transportation, wayfinding, advocacy, again, this will be coming up a lot, route planning. The photograph here is an orientation and mobility specialist walking with a student using a long cane. One thing that all orientation and mobility specialists want you to do is that you're exploring. And with that exploring, you're never lost. You know how to get back to where you need to go, but you can explore in unfamiliar areas. The Massachusetts O&M model is school systems provide O&M services. Once graduated from the high school, adult O&M is now provided by the State Agency for the Blind. And in Massachusetts, that is my agency. This photograph is another photo of an orientation and mobility specialist and her student walking with a long cane. With this group, with the school O&M specialist and the adult O&M specialist, there is limited communication between the groups. We're working on improving that, but don't assume that we've talked to each other. Adult O&M college training skills, what we expect from the students that we're working with in a college setting is that the student will only need a familiarization to the college, learning the routes around the college, but not extensive O&M training. A student should be able to accurately appraise their level of independence in the following areas: unfamiliar environments, crossing complex street intersections, their cane skills, public transit, and travel in weather conditions such as rain, snow, cold, or wind. The photograph here is of a crosswalk with a hybrid pedestrian signal. And there are a lot of these signals on college campuses. If you don't know what one is, you need to learn what it is and how it can be made accessible if it isn't for blind pedestrians. A high school student should know who, how, and when to ask for help appropriately. Know how and when to decline help. We had an incident with a college student, a freshman. Her orientation and mobility specialist worked with her on all of the routes she needed in the college for that time. And her homework was to go explore the campus that they had not worked on. Unfortunately, a high-ranking college administrator drove by and got out of her car and decided that this student needed help. She didn't need help. But because she was a little passive and felt very unconfident in telling a high-ranking college person that she didn't need help, she took the help from the college person. The person drove her back to her dorm. And then the college administrator called the disability office and said, why is this person walking around the campus who's blind without assistance? And she did not understand what orientation and mobility was, and that the student was traveling confidently and knew where she was going. And we had to have a sit-down meeting with everybody at the college to educate the administrator. And the next time that would happen to the student, she would be a little more assertive in saying, I don't really need help. This is where I am, and I know how to get home. So that's very important skill to learn. You want to be able to use a variety of tools and techniques. Not every tool and every technique will work every time. You want to know of and how to contact agencies that support individuals with visual disabilities in the community that you are going to. It may be different. If you're going to a different state or a different part of our state, there may be different support systems that you may be interested in finding out that can assist you. Know how to maintain and replace your devices, such as a cane, any kind of assistive technology, the monocular, etc. And you need to make informed decisions. Are you going to choose to go somewhere, or you're not going to choose to go somewhere because you don't know how to get there? That's something that you need to think about, and how am I going to make an informed decision? High school O&M should be preparing you for the real world of college, work, and living away from family and friends. You should be able to use complex orientation skills. This includes GPS and advanced technology for travel and route planning. You want to plan and execute functional community travel independently, and that is now with your family and friends on planning your routes instead of just going along with somebody. You want to demonstrate self-advocacy skills such as I mentioned before, soliciting assistance, interacting with adult agencies on your own, and declining aid. Independent mobility travel skills. Have you traveled by yourself without family or friends? Most people think they have really good travel skills, but they don't realize that the family or friends may have been helping more than anybody realized. Plan your routes. Start trying to figure out the routes on your own. And when you're going out with a family or friends, you plan the travel route that they are going to travel with their vehicle. Use public transportation and plan routes. Learn how to use Uber and shared rides. And this is a time that you can use your GPS technology that you can track the route as you're on either public transit or Uber or shared rides. You know if they're taking you in the right place. Paratransit is very important to learn while you're in high school, even if you don't use it. And what are your crossing streets experience? Are they traffic control intersections, and are they complex intersections? The photograph here is a bus stop with some people boarding the bus and some other people waiting for the next bus to come. So you need to understand that bus stops may have more than one bus, and you need to know how to advocate to find out if that is the bus you need to be on. Transition in O&M. There's a picture of a high school student in graduation with her thumbs up. She's very excited about leaving high school. You don't want to wait to contact MCB for transition services discussion in your senior year of high school. You want to start that conversation as early as possible, maybe middle school and maybe your freshman year of high school. But the earlier the better, just to make a connection and develop a relationship with your VR counselor. Never assume everything is taken care of or someone else is taking care of something. It's your responsibility to follow up and be sure anything that you need is in place. You want to contact the MCB O&M department the October of your senior year. Your comms can work with you on that, your VR counselor, but this should be started so the O&M specialists can meet with you and your O&M in the high school and observe a route and start a relationship with you. High school comms should prepare a transition report for the new comms on their own, the students' O&M skills. If you're considering a guide dog, you need to have orientation and mobility skills. You're not eligible for that until you go through that training and long cane training. If you're thinking it before, you're thinking you need you're going to apply for a guide dog before college, the best time is the summer before your high school senior year, or wait until after your first year of college. This is because it takes about 2 years for a guide dog team to really mesh. And if you are getting a guide dog right before you go off to college to an unfamiliar environment, you have to learn the environment in addition to teaching the dog the environment. Where if you have the dog before you go off to college and you're working with them in your community, then you can know that you're in a familiar environment and be able to direct the dog and learn how the dog works and takes your commands, and if it's doing something incorrect because you know the route. What do you need? First is, again, learning to ask the right questions. That's very important skill to have, and understanding the answer the person is giving you. This is important with the advocacy on how to advocate correctly. For a to-do list before you graduate from high school, the graphic is of an airline plane. You want to apply for a travel transit pass, whatever is in your community. Your paratransit for your eligibility to become eligible for paratransit. This is important because you can transfer your eligibility to your new college town or new state upon arrival, and they are eligible immediately for their paratransit system. You will need to get identification. You should obtain your DMV state real ID card, and you should be doing this at the same time that other people are getting their licenses and their real IDs. You might want to consider getting a passport to have a second form of identification if you need it. You will need a state real ID to fly domestically on planes and get into federal buildings. So if you have an internship in a federal building, you will need to get a ID, a state real ID card. For advocacy, again, you should be able to explain your eye condition and functional issues that impact your vision. There's a picture of glasses on top of an eye report. You have to remember that you are going to be the first person that most people meet in a college setting are legally blind. And they're going to be very confused about your vision doesn't fit into their idea of what a blind person can do. They might ask you, why don't you have a guide dog? Or why are you using your cane and not using it at different times? Why can't you travel at night? Why do you have so much difficulty at night? You're now the ambassador for blindness, whether you like it or not. So have a little elevator speech on what it means and how your vision works, and start educating people and get used to it. It's just going to be a part of your life. You want to develop a realistic plan for college, accommodation plan for college. You're going to have to request your O&M training on your own. There's not going to be anybody else requesting it. You're going to have to contact the Commission for the Blind and set up O&M training. You need to know how to request books and what's the wait time. And I can tell you that your books in a lot electronic format or assistive formats will not probably be there on time. So you need to have a backup plan. How are you going to make introductions to your teachers? How are you going to let them know what you need from them to make things accessible during their teaching or curriculum? What types of communication is happening with school personnel? And that includes your instructors. Do people communicate email, text, or phone? Which is the best communication for any one of them? Connect up when the office hours are for anybody that you want to talk to. And this also includes your orientation and mobility specialists, scheduling on when it's appropriate. So start at the beginning in regards to picking a college. You want to look at the size, the location, the walkability of the college, and transportation options. For the size, you may want a small college, or you may want an extremely large college. One college we looked at when we did college interviews with my daughter is one college there, all the classes were in one building. So from a mobility standpoint, it was great because you just had to learn one building and you were set for 4 years. However, getting to that building, the dorms were across the street. And in my opinion, there wasn't a good street crossing. That was going to be difficult crossing the street for a visually impaired person. But if you like small, that's good. Looking at UMass Amherst it's a mini city. And so the size will impact you in regards to your mobility. Location, something more rural, more suburban, or more urban. And that impacts your mobility skills if you're not used to traveling in an urban environment and crossing very busy, complex streets. That is something you should look at. And this is all in addition to your curriculum, on the important things that you're looking for your curriculum. These things need to be considered. The walkability within the college and within the community. And again, your transportation options. You want to meet with the Disability Services office at every college that you're going to apply to or you're considering. You want to ask if they worked with a student with legal blindness. And if so, what were the accommodations provided? Unfortunately, a lot of legal blindness is a very low incident population. So they may think they have all the accommodations needed for you based on that one experience with the other student. And it may be totally different needs. So you may have to do a lot of education with this office in what your individual accommodations are needed. And a good thing to ask is what issues came up with the student, and you may be able to troubleshoot some issues you may have with that answer. Okay, one very important thing to do is learn about college culture. I have a graphic here. It says it's party time with a banner. You want to check and see if it's a commuter college. A lot of colleges nowadays is their students stay on campus, but they may leave and go home on the weekend to go work a job, or their family is nearby. I had one student that went to a college, lots of friends out there, but they all left on the weekend. So she was all by herself on the weekend. It was out of state, so she couldn't go home. So that is something to really consider and talk with other students that are at that school on what happens. The other thing is, what are the planned activities on campus during the week and on weekends? And where are they located? Are they accessible to where you might be living? Another big issue is, where do people study? Do they study in their dorm rooms? Now, during COVID times, everybody is in their dorm rooms if they're on campus. But in the future, there are other options. One is the library. And if your dorm is noisy, you need to go to the library, or you need a quiet place to study. You need to check and see if there's accessible technology at your library, or you're going to have to bring all your technology with you. Do you want a quiet dorm? My daughter was a nursing student, and every school we went to, they said, you're going to be living in these dorms because these are where the nurses live and they all study 24/7. And that's what she did. But she could go to other dorms where a little more noisier if she wanted to take a break from her studies. So orientation, there's a map here on the graphic of a college campus. You want to review where the dining rooms are and the classes are in relationship to your dorm location. There may be other dining areas you'll be doing during the day for lunch that are closer to your classes, but you need to know where they are. And again, what are the transportation options on campus? And are they convenient? What are the pedestrian and walking routes? And one thing to check for the winter months is, what are their snow removal policies on getting the main sidewalks cleared? Your transit options on campus, are there transit options on campus? And will those options get you off campus? Or what are the off-campus transit options? Have a transit plan to get you home. How are you going to get home back and forth to college? Develop winter travel plans around campus, and also how to get home. Your dorm rooms, you need to look in there for your lighting issues. Are there enough plugs? That's a big issue for lighting and computer equipment and whatnot. So you may have to check and see how many plugs are you going to need for all your equipment or additional lighting. What's the desk size? Is that going to fit all your assistive technology? Storage issues. Is there enough storage? And a big thing with your dorm room is your roommate and communication, on being sure that your roommate gets up early in the morning when you get up early, or they're late, you're both late sleepers or whatnot. You need to discuss that before you room together. Communication is really, really important, and you have to keep that open. This is a photograph of two college co-eds. One is my daughter in their freshman dorm, and they met for the first time, though they had communicated over the summer, so they kind of knew each other. You want to plan ahead. You need to be respectful of time needed for accommodation and scheduling for an O&M appointment. You need to self-advocate when needs are not being met and know where to seek and resolve issues. You need to communicate with professors, disability services, and dorm mates all the time, and your orientation and mobility specialist and your VR counselor. Have a backup plan when something doesn't work out. And it will not work out. My first semester, my daughter, her computer died. Luckily, she had a backup system that she had all her papers on a disk that she was able to use to get her paper in that was due the next day. It will not work at the worst possible time, so have a backup plan. When you turn 18, there's a book here that has a law book. Ready or not, you're legally an adult. So if you sign something, you are now responsible. And you are responsible for everything. Everything that goes on in your life, you are now responsible. It's not your parents, not your teachers, it's not your friend, it's you. You need to read and respond to emails and don't put things off. Deadlines mean something. If you don't get the request in when it said so, there's no going back. You're stuck with whatever the result of that is. Don't wait until the last month of the semester to get help. A reminder that parents can't get health or grade information. You have to sign special forms for them to be able to call up the school and say what's going on. Develop an organization system. You'll need to keep track of your dorm or room key, your college ID, your scheduling of classes, and the location of those classes. Are you going to be able to get back and forth from those classes on time? And having a banking and money system set up. You should request as soon as possible that you have picked your college. You have to coordinate your own O&M request. You don't wait till the last minute or you will not get orientation and mobility the first week of school. You will need your class schedule and your book list. You should request an early move-in date before orientation because you are busy and scheduled during orientation and you won't have time for orientation and mobility. You should know your routes before you get there when possible. And then you can give directions to all the other freshmen who don't know where they're going. And again, you need to schedule your O&M. Some of the things to think about is most eating areas are buffet and separated into different areas, Chinese, Italian, salad bar, they're all buffets. And so you need to learn how to negotiate those areas and how you plan to do that. And then also how you access what's the menu for the day. And this is different than COVID, but it will go back to a buffet or multi-food areas after COVID is over with. Your college routes, this is a picture of Dartmouth College, is again your class location. Between classes and from your dorm. You want to be sure you have enough time to get from one class to another. You may need to use and ask for accommodation if one class is too far away for you to get there on time. Those are different things that you can talk to disability office about. Again, location of your dorm, to the dining halls, the surrounding community, and the transit options on campus. The disability office may ask you if you need a dorm accommodation. Maybe you say, well, I don't need a wheelchair accessible dorm. That's not really what they're asking. What they're asking is, do you want a dorm close to campus where your classes are, or do you want a dorm at the other end of campus? you need to decide that. Do I want to just learn the areas near campus and I don't have to walk through an area that I don't need to learn until maybe next semester? So think about which dorm you want to live in and where it is in relationship to your your classes, and where your room is related to a fire exit or the bathrooms. Signage is going to be a lot different in a college community. This is a picture of a bathroom with a little sign on it that's really not readable, and it's not raised print or brailled. So you want to look at having your own labeling devices. And you may have to label your dorm rooms, your classrooms, bathrooms, label things in your laundry and your mailboxes. And you need to know how to get to your laundry, carrying your laundry down and doing your laundry. And also locating your mailboxes are not always in the dorm. Many times you have to go to somewhere else to find your mailboxes. So those are all orientation and mobility issues. Communication within the dorm or the college. This is a picture of a bulletin board in a college dorm. You may not be able to access that information. So how are you going to get that information? You may have to talk to your RA or talk to your roommate to set up a system that if things are posted, how am I going to know that's going on? Campus news. Is there an email blast that goes out? How do I get on the list? The dorm news again. For bathrooms, there are different types of bathrooms in different dorms. They're hall or suite. This photograph is from a hall bathroom, which means everybody on the hall uses this bathroom. And it's all white with a blue rug in front of the sinks. If you have trouble with contrast, this might not be a good color bathroom for you. You may have difficulty until you get your orientation and mobility training. For a suite bathroom, that's usually a suite of students, maybe 4 to 8 students that share one bathroom. If you have a suite bathroom, your dorm mates are responsible for cleaning it. So you should know how to clean a bathroom before you go to college. The contrast, again, looking at the contrast, the lighting. For the showers, again, for a hall bathroom, there's multiple showers usually, and you have to bring all your toothpaste, toothbrush, soap, towels, and whatnot to that bathroom. So you have to have an organization plan on how you are going to carry all these things. And again, this bathroom has a blue curtain and the stall is all white. And it may be difficult for you to get used to it initially. Fire exits. Your orientation and mobility specialist will show you where the fire exits are. You may want to live closer to a fire exit or closer to the bathroom. That may be an accommodation you might want to request. For O&M at college, you need to dress for the weather, have a marking device, a recording device to record the routes, have your sunglasses, low vision devices, light, flashlight, and backpack, etc. Always have a backup cane at college and home. Your cane will break more than likely, and you want to have one with you at college, and you should be carrying one in your backpack. So if you are out and about and the cane breaks, which does happen, you have a cane to get back. It's not a big deal. You also should have a cane at home, an extra cane at home in case you're visiting, your cane breaks, your backup cane is at the school, you have an extra cane at home. Not a big deal. You want to be prepared. There will be problems. Even if everybody's done everything right, there are going to be problems. How to fix the assistive technology. If there's any upgrades in the college, it will impact your assistive technology. Don't wait until it's too late to fix a problem or issue. Getting materials from college instructors is always going to be a problem, and you're going to be educating every semester in every class. You want to in-service a college staff on your vision needs. Have a resource list to give out to how to make lessons more accessible to you. And you're going to be reminding the college instructor often, oh, this didn't work for me and this is why. Could you do this next time? Have patience. Don't assume the issue has been taken care of. Always follow up. This is one suggestion I would have, which worked really well for my family: early action. The school did this. I did not do this. Early action allows students to apply to as many colleges as they want or can afford, and are not obligated to attend if admitted. Now, this was great. The applications are due in the fall. Acceptance notifications begin in January. So when my daughter did this, she did everything over the summer and did the applications in the fall. We knew in January what colleges, which of the colleges she wanted to go to, she had gotten accepted to. And then we had till May 1st to make a choice. So we were able to go back and look at the 2 colleges for the campuses that she wanted to go to and make a decision. That was extremely helpful for us. So if you can do that, I would recommend that highly. And it made the last semester of senior year very less stressful. So handouts with this presentation can be mailed to you. You can email me at meg.robertson@mass.gov. And the presentations are the PDF copy of this PowerPoint, a comms TBI O&M skill college checklist, a handout on Are You O&M Ready for College, a customized transportation assessment, an Uber checklist. I'd like to thank you for attending. I hope this presentation has identified the importance of O&M throughout one's school years. Having a good O&M foundation will assist you in having a successful college experience and beyond. If you have feedback on this presentation or ideas for future O&M presentations, please email me at Meg Robertson email address I just stated. And again, thank you for attending.